All right, it's another edition of the Wrap-Up Show with John and Jim. We're presented, as always, by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? We have exclusive year-round Padres content. You're looking at Jim right now. Point to the subscribe button. Not just hit the subscribe button. There's a notification bell as well. You'll be notified when we post new videos. Right now, we're posting at least 3 videos per week. You can like these videos as well. Please do that. And also follow us on Twitter, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Today, we're going to hit on Padres potential trade pieces heading into 2022. Before we do that, let's tell you about Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, because if you support this channel, we really ask that you consider supporting Mark Nimitz if you have any insurance needs. I'm talking about auto, home, renters, or life. He's the only place you should really be turning. He's a San Diegan. He's a Padres fan. He can help you lower your rates. You just tweet it out. You can save $440 on your insurance by switching to Mark this year. You can save money if you have an electric vehicle as well. He's just got such good service and communication. He's been doing this for over a decade. We've got a link right down below in the description. So if you have any insurance needs and you like this channel, want to support this show and Mark Nimitz as well, a San Diegan, click the link down below. He can help you and your family.
Yeah, go to Mark. You'll thank us later. All his information is above my head, as always. Phone number and his email address, mnimitz@farmersagent.com. When you reach out to him, let him know that John and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
All right. So The Athletic got us thinking, because they were talking about trade chips across all 30 big league clubs. So let's talk about some Padres that could potentially be moved between now and the start of the regular season, which hopefully will be March 31st after the lockout. And you'll hear some names that we've obviously brought up before. Maybe we'll give you some new names as well. So stick around for this entire video. And then we could talk about some names as well, Jim, that could potentially be coming to San Diego that could still be on the move from another major league organization. I mean, it all starts, obviously. I don't even have to say it. What does it start with, Jim?
Fernando Tatis Jr.
You nailed it.
Right?
No, I mean, we all know who it starts with. I mean, we've talked about it literally ad nauseum for 2 years on the radio and for the last 3 or 4 months on the Wrap-Up Show. If you can move Eric Hosmer, you move Eric Hosmer. The big issue is if you can move Eric Hosmer. If you have a suitor, it takes 2 to tango. If you can move him, you move him.
That is the number one, I want to say, like, if AJ Preller had a big board as far as who do I need to trade or who do I want to trade the most, top of the big board is Eric Hosmer, no doubt about it. Dennis Lin, in this Athletic article that we're referring to, mentioned pretty much how bad they want to get rid of Eric Hosmer, and because of his contract, because right now you're dealing with a payroll over $200 million. And that's top 10, top 5 payroll in the league.
I think it's top 5, absolutely.
I think it's top 5, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think the only ones that are higher are like the Dodgers and maybe the Mets. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, I know they're up there, and they've never had a payroll over $200 million, let alone over $184 million is what we projected to be their payroll coming into this year. You get rid of Hosmer off the books, you save 20 plus million. You also save, what is it? 50. How much is his rest on his deal?
Over the 4 years, you're looking at 20 this year, 13 per year over the final 3 is 39. 59 million total dollars over 4 years, an average of 15 million a year.
So you get rid of 59 million for a guy that is giving you a 0.0 WAR, a guy that as a first baseman is not cutting it. You know, we saw the FanGraphs zip chart where
yeah,
they projected Cronenworth to be a better first baseman than Eric Hosmer, and Cronenworth, that's not even his first position. Right. It's like his third. Yeah. So if they can move Eric Hosmer, we've been talking about it forever. If I'm AJ Preller, I'm moving heaven and earth to get rid of him. Easier said than done because of this stupid freaking lockout. I don't know if he's gonna have enough time, because whenever this lockout ends,
there won't be much time on the other side.
It might be a situation where you have, all right, guys, we got 3 weeks until opening day, and we need a first baseman, and he's a left-handed hitter. Maybe we can get something out of him, and we can work on something at the trade deadline to get rid of him. But Eric Hosmer is the number one guy. Even on the article thumbnail, it was like, who are all 30 teams trade chips? Eric
Eric
Hosmer's
Hosmer.
on the freaking
Yeah.
picture.
Yeah, exactly. He's like America's most wanted in terms of the
Right.
Padres potentially moving. Like, here's the thing. You said we've had this conversation. It's like a chicken and egg conversation. You said, hey, I'd move heaven and earth to move Eric Hosmer.
I
My
would. I don't know if Preller's going to do it.
Well, here's my argument against moving heaven and earth. And by the way, I move Eric Hosmer if I can move Eric Hosmer. But do I really want to attach something to Eric Hosmer that could hurt me as well? I've made this argument a number of times on the show. I've already invested in a terrible deal, 8 years, 144. Do I want to double down and give up, Robert Hassel? I don't know if it's a good example or not, but just name whomever. I mean, it can be Luis Campusano. It could be Mackenzie Gore. If you attach Luis Campusano to Eric Hosmer's deal and then Campusano produces in the big leagues, you already signed that terrible Hosmer deal. So not only did it cost you 144, it cost you a future big leaguer that can contribute as well. Like, that's the problem. Like, a year from now, I'd rather DFA him. I'd rather eat the money than risk the potential of giving up a player that could help me at the big league level. Today, because it's so much money and it's $59 million, I'm willing to attach a player or two. I'd want it to be a mid-level prospect as opposed to a high-level prospect. But when you say heaven and earth, I mean, who are you talking about? I mean, you're going to have to attach players to Eric Hosmer to move them. Are you talking Hassel? Are you talking Gore, Campusano, Abrams? Who?
Well, heaven and earth means to me eating a lot of that money and maybe a lower level prospect. I don't know if that would get it done. Who knows what's going to happen with the CBA? Who knows if they're going to create a floor salary cap for teams where teams have to spend a certain amount of money? If that's the case, I think it might be easier to trade Eric Hosmer because teams are going to look to take on money. And Eric Hosmer is a perfect take on money candidate. You can bill him as a leader. You can bill him as a guy that can help change your franchise, World Series winner, yada, yada, yada. But, eating a bunch of money, is Hassel really going to help you this year? All I care about is this year, dude. Like, I don't care about 3 years from now. I understand where people are coming from as far as you don't want to trade the top prospect because Preller's done that a bunch, and it's kind of bitten him in the ass for a lot of trades that he has made recently with players on other teams excelling. It's like, well, why couldn't they do that here in San Diego when they're doing it with the Indians or whatever other team, the Mariners? Like, why can't they do it here in San Diego? So I get the being gun shy, but a lot of those players that he traded away were already in the major leagues, like Ty France, Cal Quantrill, Franmil Reyes. Like, those guys were in the big leagues already. Eric Lauer to an extent. Whoever else. Luis Torrens. He had a pretty good year with Seattle. Those guys that I just named were all big leaguers when they got traded. They just never blossomed. They never not hit their potential because I think they can still get better, but popped like a little bit of a pop. Like I think Ty France popped. I think Cal Quantrill popped. Franmil Reyes popped. But they're in the big leagues. We have no idea what Hassel is. I know he's a top prospect. No idea.
Yeah. Listen, I understand what you're saying. Let's ask the chat. I mean, reply in this video right now. Would you attach Robert Hassel to move Eric Hosmer? I understand what you're saying. Not every minor leaguer graduates to the big leagues, but there are minor leaguers that are Fernando Tatis Jr. There are Vlad Guerrero Juniors. I mean, there's guys
one-of-one guys. And if Robert Hassel is not a number 1 or 2 prospect in all of baseball, I don't consider him to be the next Mike Trout or like whoever.
Yeah, it's tough though because while I'm all for playing for 2022, I don't know if I'm only playing for 2022. I mean, you're making up 28 games, Jim. We've talked about this. The Giants and the Dodgers.
Hear this. Do you think Robert Hassel can be a big contributor for this team in the next 3 years?
Yeah, absolutely. Next 3 years? Yeah, absolutely. I think there's reason to believe that he probably,
including this year. So this year plus 2 more.
No, I think he's at least a year off. I think he's a year behind Abrams at least, and Abrams could contribute in 2022. I think Hassel could contribute in best case scenario in 2023, and certainly you'd be asking him as a top position prospect in your organization to contribute in 2024. Now, you're right. There's no guarantee. He could be a bust or he could be a Hall of Famer. We have absolutely no clue as we sit here talking tonight on the wrap-up show. I would just be inclined to be very fearful or careful moving one of my top 4 prospects. That's my point, but I understand the point that if you can move Eric Hosmer, you need to move Eric Hosmer. Now, I think it's easier to move Will Myers. Again, these are the traditional names. These are the 2 names you've heard. Can you move Eric Hosmer? Can you move Will Myers? Now, my issue with moving Myers now is like you've already paid him all this money. Now he's
1 year
finally in the
left.
final year of his deal. Now you
Right.
need outfielders.
And you have no outfielders, exactly.
Right. And now you're moving him. It's like this is actually the year you could use him. Now he's got to contribute and stay healthy. But like if you're going to move an outfielder to free up capital, then you're going to need just another outfielder. What are you going to have to give up, or what are you going to get for Will Myers? I'd be tempted to just ride it out for one more year with Will Myers, a lot more than I'd be tempted to ride it out with Eric Hosmer. That's for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think with Will, the trade Will train, I think, has passed. I think if they were gonna trade Will Myers, it should have happened 2 years ago, maybe even last year. Because with 1 year left on your deal, you're saving money this year, but the whole idea is for like future savings as well. And you might you trade Will Myers, you're still going to have that problem next year of that massive contract of Eric Hosmer, where he's not performing. At least with Will, I have a guy that has more pop than Eric Hosmer. Not a guy I trust more than Eric Hosmer, but I think this team severely lacked power last year. And if you just get a stretch from Will, and we've seen it before, of consistent power, I have more faith in his power than I do in Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer, to me, it's not even close. Yeah. Mm-hmm. To me, Eric Hosmer is a guy I cannot count on to get me 25 homers. Will, in a lucky year, not a lucky year, but in a year, can give you 25 homers.
Oh, yeah.
If he stays healthy.
30 plus.
And he's done that before. Hosmer has, I know he had 99 RBIs, but that team sucked, and some player has to get RBIs, and RBIs is the stat that least matters the most.
Mm-hmm.
This is OPS sucks, and he can't hit, and he grounds the ball to second base every time. But I think another name that we haven't really talked about, but if you're looking to like shed money and a guy that's really not giving you anything, I know Preller loves former top prospects, but I'm sorry, Jurickson Profar has done virtually nothing for this team other than a good stretch in 2020 when he became the everyday left fielder. Other than that, like Jeff Sanders even wrote about it today. What has Jurickson Profar done for you to garner the contract that he's got from the Padres?
Well, right. Exactly. He was given a lot of money after a 60-game season where he produced for basically 2 months. And what is he making? $7 million a year? I think
you have to choose one player to keep. Ha-Seong Kim or Jurickson Profar? Who are you choosing?
Man, that is a really good question. Answer that in the chat down below as well. Profar or Kim? I actually like Profar more. I think Profar has better at bats. I think he's more in the prime of his career. I think he helps you more offensively. I think he's versatile. I think Kim is versatile defensively as well. I'd probably be inclined to keep Profar. I think a lot of people would disagree with me. Probably Kim is entering his prime, where Profar is probably, pushing the.
Isn't that anything?
Yeah, but I mean the prime of his career. But he's in his mid-20s. I mean, and Profar's a little older than that. I would move either. I'd move either in a heartbeat if I can make my team better. I don't think there's room on a team like the Padres for both of them. They're both versatile defensive players with not a great offensive skill set. Most big league teams have one of those players. Mm-hmm. When you have two of those players, and by the way, you're overpaying for both of them, those two players are combining to make what, $14 million per year? They should be paying those guys $4 million combined per year. So I'd keep one of them. I would move either of them. I don't think either have significant value, Jim, in the trade market because their contract's significant. So if you could move one of them, I would do it in a heartbeat. And I'm with you. Profar completely, didn't live up to expectations in 2021. I thought he had some moments. I think he had some good at bats, but I think he's hard to move. I think they're all the names we're throwing out are hard to move. Hosmer the hardest. Myers still challenging at $20 million. Kim, what's the asset? I mean, what are you buying if you're another club? You're buying an expensive deal for a player that hasn't proven he can hit. Profar, what are you buying? I mean, you're buying a guy that has had limited success in the big leagues and plays multiple positions but arguably is overpaid. Are any of those players easy to move?
No. Maybe if you just say, "Hey, player to be named later," type of deal for a team that can afford that, then you might do it. But I would choose Ha-Seong Kim just because I think defensively he's right. Like Machado, I think is the best defender on the team, and honestly, I'd put Ha-Seong Kim right behind Machado.
Yeah, but there's a problem. But the problem
He
is
can't hit. I get it.
Well, no, but he can't. Why he shouldn't be playing in the field for you either?
No, I get it. But
You
if
know,
I'm looking at a situation where, okay, facts are facts, you got a Hall of Fame type player shortstop that can't stay healthy. You need to have a backup just in case.
Agreed.
Okay. You have a first baseman that can't hit and is giving you nothing. You have an opportunity to move your second baseman to play first base to give you production there. Well, now you're going to need a second baseman. And if I'm choosing between Profar or Ha-Seong Kim to play second base, I'm choosing Ha-Seong Kim because he's the superior defender to Jurickson Profar. If I need a, break the glass, in case of emergency player to play shortstop for if Tatis gets injured again, then I'm putting Cronenworth at short and I'm putting Kim at second, or I'm doing vice versa. So Kim, to me, better defensively, way better defensively than Jurickson Profar. He might not have the versatility as Profar to play almost every position on the field, because Profar could play first base as well. Yeah. We saw it last year. If I had to choose, I'd probably choose Kim over Profar. But again, they're both not giving you what you paid them for. So it's kind of like it's hard to choose one or the other because, they're both not getting it done. And maybe one thing working in Profar's favor has probably nothing to do with on-field production. Who's he best friends with on the team? Fernando Tatis Jr. What is the goal for Fernando Tatis Jr. as a franchise? Make sure that he's happy. I know it sounds stupid, but it's a real thing. You get rid of.
Well, what are we going to do? I mean, so we're going to keep Eric Hosmer for forever because he helped bring Tatis up. He signed a 14-year deal. I mean, he's not going anywhere. There's no.
You can't tell me that's a fact. You can't tell me that's not a factor though. And part of the collapse of last year is that players on that team got upset that Eric Hosmer was in trade discussions.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate. And unfortunately,
so there's going to be.
Yeah. I mean, there's going to be twists and turns over the next 13 years too. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs, and hopefully Bob Melvin can help right that ship better than Jace Tingler was able to do.
Right.
It's a business. I understand your point, and that's reasonable. But I think at the end of the day, the Padres and AJ Preller need to be concerned about winning. If you can win one more game without him, then go try to win one more game without him.
Preller tried that by trying to trade Hosmer. And it turned into what it felt like almost like a player mutiny where they got upset that their buddy was about to be traded. And Preller was doing that to try to win baseball games because he wanted to get a power bat, left-handed power bat in Joey Gallo that was far more of a threat than Eric Hosmer. And it backfired. So he tried the winning route, but the relationships that Hosmer has created inside that clubhouse, it felt like it kind of just turned on side of its head and everybody got butthurt.
All right, I'll give you another name. That I actually think is movable if he's healthy. Chris Paddock. Now, you're not going to get a lot for him, but he's controllable. He's not owed a lot of money. He's capable of being a 4 or 5 starter clearly in the big leagues. I mean, he's filled that role for 3 years for the Padres, and they've been one of the better, 10 or 12 or 14 clubs, top half club the last 3 years in the big league. So I think as a relatively young player that still has arbitration in front of him, and a change of scenery, by the way, I think could be beneficial for Paddock. Now, this is assuming his health. I have no idea. Maybe he's not even fully healthy. You don't love giving up starters, but I feel like we've seen what we've seen. Like the best was the first half of 2019. The last 2.5 years have left a lot to be desired. You still have Clevenger, who you didn't have a year ago. You have the Adrian Morejones coming back. Hopefully you didn't have a year ago. You got to think you're going to count on some of the players in your system like a Mackenzie Gore at some point. So I think if you can get something maybe to benefit your farm or help you in a position of need, potentially I wouldn't be opposed to moving Chris Paddock. Would you?
No, I think that Chris Paddock's time in San Diego should have ended a while ago. I just there's factors with Paddock that I, I just they don't work, and it has to do with his brother and his mental state when he gives up a couple runs. I just don't feel like he has the mental fortitude to be a good major league pitcher. Like when things go wrong, I don't feel like he's a guy that can right the ship. And if we're looking at trade pieces, I'm with you on Paddock, but he's a guy that, like you said, cost you nothing. So what does that really do? Unless you're getting a good player back, what does that do for your payroll? It doesn't affect it at all. I think a guy that would affect your payroll in a positive way if you can maybe get something for him. And he's a guy that's been injured for you. We've talked about him. He's only appeared in like 46 games for the Padres since signing his deal, and that's Drew Pomeranz.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Pomeranz, to me, when healthy, is a top flight reliever, left-handed reliever. He is really good, but he's not healthy. Seems like he's not in shape, even though I did see a picture of him at the Eric Hosmer wedding, and he looked considerably thinner. So maybe that's a good sign. But last year, dude was not in shape. Dude got injured, and he's being paid a lot of money. And when you're paying a reliever a lot of money and he's not pitching for you, that's not good. So if unless he can stay healthy, and that's a big if, I would put him up there as a trade piece as well, just because of the money aspect going into Drew Pomeranz and his team, and he's not pitching for you. Now,
I was going to say, I don't think you can move him. I mean, it's a little bit of wishful thinking. I mean, based on his numbers, say, what do you mean you can't move him, John? Well, he doesn't pitch.
Yeah.
He's owed $20 million, or the better part of $20 million the next 2 years. That's a fortune of money.
Now, for just a reliever, not even a closer.
Maybe the CBA looks different. I mean, maybe there's more of an incentive for a team to take on a contract like Pomeranz. So, by the way, there's upside. I mean, there is upside. You're right. If it's a lightning in a bottle situation, he could be the Padres' most valuable reliever in 2022. But the key word is could. He could make. He also could make 4 appearances for the Padres in 2022, or he could make 48 appearances and have a 1.15 ERA. That's why I think he's tough to move.
25 saves, 30 saves.
What general manager is taking on a 33-year-old with $16 to $20 million owed that has been injured for the better part of the last 2 years? I mean, whoa, you got to have a real incentive. You got to have an incentive to do that.
I want to trust that he's going to stay healthy.
I want to throw out a couple of names that have been on our radar that maybe the Padres could pursue via trade that were mentioned in this Athletic article as well. Before we do that, we want to tell you about StreamYard. And you've heard us talk about this. If you want a podcast or start a YouTube channel or video cast or talk to friends over the internet and make it super simple and dress it up like we do here on the Wrap-Up Show, you got to consider StreamYard. And if you click the link down below, it's right down below for StreamYard, as Jim is pointing, 2 weeks free, no credit card required. It's how we do the Wrap-Up Show. It's super simple. If you're looking to do some additional audio or video content in 2022, whatever you want to do, it's simple, it's affordable. And for our viewers, Jim, 2 weeks free, no credit card required.
2 weeks free. The best thing about StreamYard is how easy it is. StreamYard is the #1 streaming platform on the web. End of story. The thing with StreamYard is you can start it right now. You don't really need any training. You don't need any technical savviness to get it going.
Yeah.
Just go to StreamYard. You can start it. You can create how you want this thing to look. You can stream live on multiple platforms at the same time. You don't have to do that. You can create videos, which we're doing now. You can upload them to YouTube or whatever you want. You can convert everything into MP3s to upload it to your favorite podcasting site. Super easy, super simple. 2 weeks free. Link in the description below. Click it. StreamYard, the #1 streaming platform on the web.
Yeah, trust us. Just try it out. I mean, it's really ridiculous. If you've been thinking about it, you can try it out. Again, no credit card, 2 weeks free. Support the Wrap-Up Show as well. All right, here are 2 names that we've discussed. I think we should bring it to focus as well and discuss whether the Padres really will have interest or not this offseason. We'll see what the offseason looks like on the other side of the lockout in terms of time. But let's start with Matt Olson, who obviously is tied to Bob Melvin. Would be just as big of an upgrade as you can possibly envision at first base for the Padres if you can move Hosmer and get Olson. Now, Jim, I don't know what it's going to take. I think you talked about Hosmer. I would, move heaven and earth to move Hosmer. I think if you're the A's, you want heaven and earth in return for Matt Olson. So, if you were willing to give up a top prospect potentially to move Hosmer, you'd have to be willing to move arguably your biggest prospect, right, to get Matt Olson.
Would you do Hosmer? But you only have to pay like $20 million.
All right.
Hassel and Campusano.
So you're telling me the A's are going to take $39 million on in that theoretical,
but
they're
you're
going to
getting
get
two top prospects.
They're going to get two top prospects for $40 million bucks plus a serviceable. Look at a first baseman for a team that's not going to go to the playoffs that they can just plug in there in Hosmer. Would I move Hosmer, Campusano, who I think is replaceable because I don't know if he's your full-time catcher long-term or not. He could be. And is his back in a play to be a DH, an everyday DH in the big leagues? I can't answer that. And Hassel, like you said, he's best case a year and a half away. Worst case, we have no idea.
For an all-star first baseman with a 6 WAR, 40 plus homers, 100 plus RBIs.
How many years? How many years does he have? A couple years left? Two, right?
This year and next.
Let's again ask the chat.
I'm doing
Olson
that.
For Hosmer. You only have to eat 20 million. You're moving Campusano and Hassel. I mean, shoot, they were going to move Hosmer potentially with Hassel last year to the Rangers for who?
Joey Gallo.
For Gallo. Yeah, if I was going to do that move for Gallo, then I'm absolutely probably it's two prospects, but you're in the business of winning at the big league level.
And the
like
thing
you
with
said.
the 20 million is you'd pay for this year of Hosmer. And then you have the 3 years of 13 million a year. I think I know the A's are literally broke, but a 3-year deal for $39 million.
That's a big number. They paid Trevor Rosenthal in like Bitcoin. Or like, remember, they're like, we'll give you $1,000 a day for 1,000,000 days or something.
Right. I mean, come on. If you can't, I think the new CBA will help. If you can't give a guy a 3-year, $39 million deal, you should not be a Major League Baseball team. Like you should
that's
just
the problem.
quit. Like just stop playing baseball.
Right. Does that make them better long term? Yeah, it does, because they get someone they could plug into DH or catcher in Campusano. They get a future everyday outfielder that's controllable for 5 or 6 years. So it makes the A's better, obviously. It makes the Padres better in the short term in 2022 or 2023.
And I'm looking at a 3-year window here.
I'll make the move. I don't want to move Abrams. But yeah.
I don't want to move Abrams. No. I don't want to move Abrams. I don't want to move Gore yet, even though we've talked about Gore a lot.
Yeah, I'd move Gore.
So who would you? So it would be what? Gore, Campusano, and
I'd prefer to do
Hosmer?
Gore and Campusano. Absolutely, yeah.
See, that's it. It's tough because when you trade pitching to me is like the place where you can get burned the most.
I don't know. I mean, ask the White Sox.
True.
You know?
Right. Well, I'm talking about prospects, not like James Shields.
No, yeah, but I mean, I'm just talking about Tatis. I mean, you know what I mean? They got burned on that side of it. And you don't know. I mean, I'm with you. Typically you want to be more cautious with your pitching, but you never know if you're trading Mike Trout. Nobody has any clue. The Angels could have moved Mike Trout. They didn't. You know what I mean? Like, it could have happened. Before Trout was Trout, he could have been moved.
But besides, I know like Mad Friars is like very high on Robert Hassel, but besides locally, how much have you heard buzz about Robert Hassel? Like a Mike Trout?
I don't follow the trades like that, Baseball America, as well as I used to when I worked in minor league baseball. I really don't. I don't get caught up in it. I think Robert Hassel's a legit prospect. I do. I don't care what the hype says. I think he has the legitimate tools to be a guy that can run, hit for power, and defend. And he's young. I mean, there's nothing that says, based on what he's done so far in his very brief career, that he doesn't have a chance to be an everyday regular. That could be a lot more than that.
You choose Hassel or CJ Abrams?
I'm keeping Abrams. I think he's more capable of playing multiple positions. I think he could be an all-star outfielder or all-star infielder. And maybe I do buy the hype on Abrams, right? I've been caught up in that probably the last couple of years. I can't move Abrams. I'd have to think long and hard about moving Abrams if I was AJ Preller or the Padres.
If it was Hosmer and Abrams straight up for Olson.
Yeah, then I'm moving Abrams. Because you got to be smart. I mean, don't outthink the room. I mean, you can't outthink the room. If you can...
You have an opportunity to get a all-star, like legitimate all-star first baseman that can give you 40-plus homers with a 900-plus OPS, and he plays Gold Glove defense. I'm not talking about Eric Hosmer Gold Glove defense. I'm talking about legitimate Gold Glove defense. You gotta really think about that.
All right, one more name to throw out. We've thrown it out before. I think it is a position of need. I don't know if they need to attack it with, moving heaven and earth or paying a fortune of money to do it. Closer. Josh Hader could be a pitcher that could be on the move potentially this offseason. If you look, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. The numbers are the numbers. There's some baggage there as well with Hader.
Yeah.
If you could just snap your fingers and put him in the ninth inning in a Padres uniform, I think you would
do
it
of course.
in a heartbeat.
Every other team would love to do that.
Yeah, I don't know what it would cost. I don't. I mean, I don't think it costs what Olsen costs, but it would be significant. I mean, to get Josh Hader, based on what he's done these last couple of years, you would think you'd have to give up a good amount to acquire him. I mean, would they have an interest in Hader, or would they prefer hey, let's start this out by committee. Let's see what we have internally. If we're in this thing in July, we can go attack it and go find that Trevor Rosenthal of 2022, or would they go all in and try to establish, acquire a closer like Hader?
Well, that to me is the biggest question mark going into next year is who's the ninth inning? Like, what is going to happen with this bullpen? Because you do not have right now a not legitimate closer, but you do not have a guy where you label him, he's the closer. I know last year when going into the season, we're all wondering if it was going to be Mark Melancon, but at least Mark Melancon had closing experience in big time situations for good baseball teams. You don't have that with anybody on this roster right now. So that to me is the biggest question mark of what are they going to do with the ninth inning? And honestly, I would love Josh Hader as the closer. I think it would cause a little bit of a controversy. But
I don't know. You think it would?
A little bit. I think it would. It has to be talked about. If you're not going to talk about it, you're just, you're
right.
blind, and you have to talk about it. It's when he has baggage like that, you have to talk about it. But if it's not Josh Hader, who I think would be the number one option for every team in baseball that doesn't have Josh Hader, it's going to be interesting to see because they're going to have to get creative. And I can't think of any other option right now for them at closer, unless it's a trade for somebody that we're not thinking about.
Like, it's not going to be Kenley Jansen.
No.
You're right. If you look at free agent closers, there's very few. I mean, anyone that closed games that is unsigned right now, even out of the lockout. Hader, by the way, is going to make money. He's second year arbitration eligible. So you have him for 2022 and 2023. He's going to be owed something like $10 million in arbitration in year 2. He'll probably get $15 million in year 3 of arbitration. So you get him for 2 years, $25 million, something like that, plus whatever you give up. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous. You can never have more trade value than right now. Right. If you're Josh Hader, he can't have better career numbers than he's had.
If it's not Josh Hader, like we talked about this,
Garcia's and Suarez's and Pierce Johnson's and Dinelson Lamet's and Drew Pomerantz's.
Maybe, like, who knows?
Yep, I'm with you.
So,
all right. So, is there a name we're missing in terms of a player you'd like to see the Padres acquire via trade? Is there a name we're missing in terms of a Padre that could be on the move once this lockout ends? Please comment down below. Again, please support our sponsors. Mark Nimitz, our title sponsor, StreamYard. We've got a new partnership, by the way, with StubHub down below. There's a link down below for StubHub. If you're looking to purchase Padres tickets and you want to support this channel, please use the link down below for spring training or the regular season. They've got the Fan Protect guarantee. So we know baseball's coming in 2022. If you're looking to purchase Padres tickets, please do so down below. And again, if you are new to this channel and you want to support this channel, please subscribe. Just subscribe. We've got exclusive year-round Padres content. Hit the notification bell as well. Like these videos and follow us on Twitter at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD. Until next time, this has been the Wrap-Up Show presented by Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance.